Star quality. I got it. I got this. You got it. You got it. My chart says so. Look at me go. Sun, moon, rising. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. Earthlings. What's it all mean? What's it all mean? Star quality.
What's it all mean? What's it all mean?
Star quality.
Woo. No, dude, really, what does it all mean?
Star quality. I got it. You got it. You got it. Star quality. Star quality. What's up, Star Party people? It is the new moon in Pisces. It is our first new moon after the eclipses. Can we get a hell yeah? Hell yeah. It is, we're still in Mercury retrograde, but we are out of the really charged eclipse time. Though a lot of really charged things happen during that eclipse time, so I'm sure things will still feel very up, especially once you see the image of this chart. You know, we've been just in a stellium energy for some time now. And now it's in Pisces. And this is the Pisces new moon. I'm your astrologer, Stevie, host of Star Quality, my Substack newsletter and podcast. If you're here, you're listening to the podcast. What up? Let me shout out, because I haven't shouted this out in a while, though it's in the show notes, but shout out to my theme song made by Sunkin Music, aka Kabir. Kabir Rock. So check out the link in show notes if you need some music production, because my theme song is just so good. It makes me happy. Feels like a worthy thing to remind and celebrate during this final go of Pisces season. Pisces is very connected to music and connection and art and feelings, and just, you know, I've been seeing too a lot of the folks on TikTok, you know, talking about the vibrational energy of the song Ring My Bell, and, you know, listening to that and dancing before getting started with the day. And I highly suggest that as we transition out of Pisces season, because the equinox is coming up this week. We have the spring equinox, Aries season, on the same day of Aries season on March 20th. We go into Aries season, and then later that day, Mercury goes direct. So this new moon is really sort of like the last reflection point of this really sort of mucky, wild time we were just in. This next week ahead almost feels like we'll be looking back at what we just experienced and going, oh my God, it's like when you're coworkers with someone and you reminisce on your sort of, not to be going to war days, but it is like, you know, your battles, the things you did together, like, you know, coworker energy is very like we were in battle together. And I think the collective has been in this battle with what the powers that be are doing and what the people want. And yeah, you know, a lot of people don't care about things until it shows up on their doorstep. And for many people, quote, showing up on their doorstep means they're affected in their gas prices, or, you know, they just care about the more selfish, self-directed impacts of global war and oppression and whatever. So this new moon is definitely the start of the end. Start of the end also being like newness is coming, but we really still need to look back at what we just experienced. And because this new moon is also during a Mercury retrograde, I would suggest maybe keeping, you know, your manifestations to things that you really want to go back to, or things that haven't been finished, or things that, you know, maybe didn't get as prioritized or have taken a back seat. Maybe you've just been in real grind, work, 9-to-5 mode, and, you know, your social life has really not been nurtured and you're feeling a little isolated or lonely. So, you know, maybe that's part of what you want to call in for this next lunation cycle ahead. Because the next new moon after this that's not during Mercury retrograde is not going to be until April 17th, when we're going to have a new moon in Aries. So this is our Pisces new moon. It is not an eclipse, though the nodes are still in Pisces and Virgo. Our eclipse earlier in the year, we had one on March 3rd. So that was part of the Virgo Pisces eclipse. That was our full moon eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd. And then on February 17th, we had our eclipse in Aquarius, which was starting off the new eclipse cycle of Aquarius Leo energy. You can go back to my old episodes on that if you want to, check in on this wild time period we've been in. I mean, I feel like an entire lifetime has happened since February 17th. And this year of the fire horse, this year of a lot of action, a lot of yang, we have a lot of planets that are in masculine, ready to go, speedy, and that doesn't mean we have to be like, yeah, that's what I want to do. But, we as astrologers, we're recognizing the patterns, we're seeing what the weather is. And this weather is just so much go. It's so much go. And it's only going to keep going a little more intensely once, at the end of April, we're going to have Uranus move into Gemini for good after spending time in Taurus since 2018. And so much happening. Let's just get this show on the road because oh my God, astrologer check-in, astrologer wellness, your host check-in. Mommy's been grinding. I've been on grind set mode. We talked about this in the beginning of the year, how, we're not starting this year in any retrogrades like we have for the past 3-4 years. And it definitely shows. And not that that necessarily is bad. It's just, I think so many people I've been talking to, everything feels really nonstop. I thought this Mercury retrograde would slow time a little bit more. It technically slowed time, but not in the restful, enjoying way, in the holy shit, I can finally look at time. It still continues to move. Life will happen with or without my participation. I might as well fucking participate, I guess. But I'm about to go on an international trip, literally on this new moon, and take some rest and have a little beat pause, though there will be a lot of action and excitement. I'll report back once I'm back. But yeah, so I'm just getting ready to go and have a new experience. And I'm definitely needing that. And it's feeling really aligned with Aries season, kicking in, and just needing to see new things and experience new things. If our sixth housey stuff, if our routines get a little too routine-y, where can we, surprise ourselves and not have to just take the same way home every single time, right? And maybe leave some space to wander or explore, get somewhere a little earlier and have some slow moments, stick around after work and go to eat somewhere new. I don't know, not just having to be must return home and, smoke pot, watch TV. I was where was I? Maybe I was at the pool the other day, and it was definitely two coworkers were well, what do you do after work? He's smoke pot, watch TV. And he's me too. And I was yeah. I'm technically me too. Me three. But also, it's so easy to get, again, I'm a Taurus sun. It's so easy to get sucked into what is, quote, comfortable, and then realize that it's more of a crutch than a comfort. That being said, something to give a little yay to is that this new moon is our first Pisces new moon without an eclipse since September 17th, 2024. That was our first eclipse in Pisces. And then we had eclipses all 2025, one in March, two in September. Then we just had our most recent one in March. We're going to have another Pisces lunar eclipse, so a full moon in Pisces during Virgo season later this year, so on August 28th. So we will have one more eclipsey lunation in the sign of Pisces, but this is our last, the last time we had a Pisces new moon was the last eclipse in Pisces with a solar new moon. This is our first one without an eclipse. So though we're not done with the Pisces Virgo eclipses, this is our first new moon in Pisces that is not obscured by an eclipse, and that is something to celebrate. Pisces doesn't need any more obscuration. Pisces is already a very obscure sign in its own right. But what this means is that the areas of our Pisces part of our chart has been transformed. It's been evaluated. It has been tested. It's been poked and prodded, and it has been under a great deal of examination and and for some people affection, like learning to love that part of your chart or learning to tackle the hard parts. I'm not gonna lie, I do think Pisces is one of the hardest signs to really understand. If you are a Pisces person, please weigh in the comments whenever, because we want to get to know you. And I'm sure Pisces are like, I don't even know myself. But well, if you do, weigh in, because I just think Pisces, because they're such an everythingness, I don't know, to me, as a Taurus and as the beginning of the zodiac, I would feel like that's almost hard to live up to and can be intimidating. But also that Pisces, very like, que sera, whatever will be, having the benefit of Jupiter and Neptune in your court. So anyways, let's get into breaking down this new moon chart, because mommy's got a jet. Mama's got to go. This Pisces is my 9th house, y'all. It's international travel for me. So I knew that going in, but now it's feeling as when before you leave for your trip and you're just like, your stomach's in knots and you're like, do I have my chargers? Do I have everything? Do I know what I'm doing? Is there anything else to prepare? And then there's not. It's like, okay, I got to bring myself and my phone and an ID and my visa and do the thing. So yeah, I'm leaving on a jet plane. I'll be back again. So let's get in. This new moon is happening on March 18th, 2026 at 6:23 p.m. Pacific time. Adjust for your time zone. So the natal chart image that I'm going to put in the show notes, the rising sign will be different depending on where you live, or if you live near me, it'll be the same. But for casting this chart from Los Angeles, we have a Virgo rising chart for the city. But yeah, it will adjust based on your time zone. So we have the Pisces new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. New moons are when the sun and moon are together. It's when the moon is at its darkest. This is why we manifest, because it is dark. It is time for us to go internal. There is no light. It is just time to be with our thoughts and what we want to plant, what we want to grow and start again. And then, full moons on the opposite are full and the most light, the culmination, the completion, and then we, drain, empty, start again. So that's full of new moons for you. Yeah, this new moon is, there's a lot happening with Pisces, of course. We have been in this real parade of planets cluster basically since the beginning of the year. I mentioned it earlier in the episode. We had a ton of planets in Capricorn, then a ton of planets in Aquarius, then now we have a ton of planets in Pisces. And guess what? In April, we're going to have a ton of planets in Aries. May is really when the cluster starts to break up a little bit more, because damn, it has just been, literally talk about clusterfuck. I'm going to get into the aspects that are happening to the sun and moon, and that will be for everybody here. And then I will eventually throw up the paywall to talk about the rest of the chart that is being impacted. So if you would like to get ahead of that and be able to continue this episode, please think of upgrading your subscription to the third space, which is my membership tier. So that is $7.77 a month. You can also pay a flat yearly if you want to save a little dough. But for $7.77 a month, so, after tax, buy me an iced coffee once a month. You get all these paywalled episodes. You get full access to the weekly horoscopes. They're free. Monday and Tuesdays forecast is free. And then Wednesday Beyond has the paywall. So you get a little teasy poo and then, start off your week. So you have, know what energy to start out on, but then the fuller breakdown is behind the paywall. And then more, I'm going to spend this little mini vacay, sabbatical, free time, maybe thinking of more menu offerings for you guys. But happy to hear too what what you think would be sick for your subscription. And then there's also the chat room. But like, how are we feeling about the chat room? Let me know, because are we overwhelmed with chat? Is chat cool? I love chat rooms, and especially, when cool people are in it, which is everyone in the third space. But let me know if that's not like the vibe. I mean, we'll always be there, but what do we want to nurture together, especially since we're going to be starting the Astro New Year really soon? How do we want to enter this new year together? So if you enjoy my work, having user support is what keeps this thing going. The more users subscribe, if you want to cancel your subscription to some corporate shitty thing, I don't know, maybe you're a video streaming service that has just bought another one and now it's $90 a month and you're like, oh, we're back to cable, when you could, rhymes with schmire. You could schmire, your things, or get on your parents' login. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Or you could gift a subscription to someone too, if you know that they're a fan. So yeah, your support means the world, and I love you guys. So thank you for giving me the means and space to forecast for you. And I don't take that lightly. I know it's an immense privilege, and it's an honor to get to sit and analyze the stars, and the feedback that I get, that that where it helps people or puts things into context, it's just what a gift. Pisces feeling sentimenty. So yeah, let's talk about this lunation and what we're seeing here. So we got the sun and moon together. I'm also going to get into this one Sabian symbol after the paywall. If you don't know what the Sabian symbols are, they're like these folkloric messages that were downloaded from a psychic medium back in the day in like the 1920s. I went last summer to do an art residency in Lilydale and reimagine them. Still working on it, you guys. Projects sometimes take a while, but hopefully that will come to life very soon. So, but for now, we will go back to the source material and look at the Sabian symbols. So there's a different image for each degree of the zodiac wheel. So we'll get into the Pisces one today because I like it a lot. I think it's really fitting. But for now, let's look at the sun and moon and what they're doing. Obviously, they're together at 28 degrees of Pisces. And yeah, they are not alone either. Out of sign, but quite near, is Neptune, now in Aries, and Saturn in Aries. So we have the sun and moon, Neptune and Saturn. And all of them are making a sextile to Uranus that is in Taurus, not in Gemini yet, in Taurus, and it's giving a sextile energy to the sun, the moon, Neptune, and Saturn. A new moon really wants to create something new and real, and though Pisces can have a hard time with reality in so many ways, I do think that Saturn and Neptune being in Aries nearby is kind of that support to really just focus on what isn't actually needed in the moment. Since Neptune has left Pisces, I've noticed that maybe it's, again, state of the world, whatever, but I don't know. We've been in a pretty shite state of the world for some time now. I mean, it feels extra. I mean, this is like kind of beyond, and it has really hit the unfortunate cherry on top of state of the worldness with what's happening in Iran. And I mean, what does there to even say? It's so misguided and makes no fucking sense. Makes no fucking sense in a logical way. It makes a ton of sense in a ulterior motive sort of way. But now that Neptune is in Aries, we don't have the illusions of, that everything will be just fine, because Aries is like, wake up and smell the coffee, bitch. Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries together is so much about self-actualization, self-actualization. Because I'm like, wait, I'm saying this word. How do I know it? Where did I know this? Like, what is knowledge? And, it comes from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, of human needs, of what you need to be your fullest self. And, at the bottom of the pyramid, I'll put this in the show notes too, which is funny because this fucking image matches the Sabian symbol, visually speaking. So there's at the bottom of the pyramid in red, we have physiological needs, just fundamental biological requirements for survival: air, food, water, shelter, housing, sleep. Basic, that's, I was about to say safety, but actually safety is the next one. This is just like, think about this in terms of, I don't know, living in a war-torn area. It's like, yeah, you don't have the safety, but if you're lucky, I guess you have the physiological needs. Physiological needs is at the bottom of the pyramid. That's the base foundation. The second above it in orange is safety needs, security and predictability in one's environment. So that is just personal security, no violence, crime, war, health and well-being, a stable environment, financial security. So we have physiological safety needs. Like, that's next. The next above that in yellow, if we're going up this rainbow prism, is love and belonging, social acceptance and connection, family, friendship, community, romance, group vibes, affection, intimacy. Okay, and then next, as we build up in green, is esteem, just self-esteem, self-respect, confidence, recognition, competence, achievement, reputation. Like, how now, after we build on basic needs met, safety needs met, okay, I have people in my corner who support me and make me feel secure. Then there is, the secureness in oneself and receiving respect from others, feeling like a confident individual. And at the top is self-actualization, realizing one's full potential, creativity, personal growth, moral development, pursuit of meaning, purpose, joy, transcendence, insight, having spontaneity as well is listed in here. So this is, I think, what this new moon is really striving for. And now that Neptune and Saturn are out of the last sign of Pisces, now they're in the beginning of the zodiac in Aries. And even though, yes, everything is crumbling, and I get asked this 900 times a day, and when will things get better? Like, it's technically getting better in this moment, because where can you go from rock bottom? Especially since right now, safety and security and physiological needs are really not a given. Obviously, they're not a given in Gaza. They're not a given in Iran right now. And they're not a given in the United States. And it haven't been for some time. And especially depending on the color of your skin, that is also depends on how long that this has been a ongoing issue of needs for the people. It's not, eloquent way to say this. Now that more white people are being affected by policy, now, it seems like, quote, what's going on? It's like, well, this has been going on. I think that's why it's really interesting with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, because it really is about dissolving structures. Again, last time we had it here, the Berlin Wall fell. There's just popular institutions that are harmful and that no one's into anymore. And I do think it is really representing the fall of MAGA and it not being, I don't know, it doesn't have the cultural cachet it once did. Not that I personally ever thought it had cool cultural cachet, but there's a lot of fucking troll ass people who did. And yeah, I don't know, look at everything. There's the empire is falling. But on the personal level, for, and depending on where this is in your chart, and if you want to look further at where this is happening in your natal chart, I do have readings available. You can book at the link in show notes. I'll have some times coming up at the end of March and in early April. So come through. Let's get you ready for the astrological new year and what might be in store for the rest of 2026. But back to the hierarchy of needs, this is just motivational psychology. Like, what do we need to want to go out and participate in the world? And I think we are seeing a lot of people not have that motivational psychology activated. And I think thinking for yourself, maybe it's spending time with this pyramid and writing what you need, as you move up, and the fact that you have the Uranus of it all that is making this sextile to the Sun, Moon, Saturn, and Neptune is really about embracing that change, embracing that there is shifts that you want to see, knowing that there might be different financial needs for that. If there is some goals that you're looking for, I think a lot of people, in COVID especially, oh my God, 6-year anniversary, hello. 6-year anniversary for when it like really hit stateside and we all locked down here in the United States. But yeah, I think a lot of people saw their life change, and now we're still dealing with so many of the repercussions of that. And where did you take your life as a means of, out of the kind of base of the pyramid survival? And now if there is a little more choice, what do you want to do with that? And that choice might mean actually making very conscious steps with money, cost of living, investments, the things you have and keep around you. I think the eclipses in Pisces were a really big encouragement to really believe in yourself and believe that you can do anything. And no offense to the Virgo energy, where we were releasing a lot of the Virgo, and that it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to explain yourself, and it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to, especially, oh my God, now with like AI, I'm just seeing so many more people be like, I don't mind typos now because now I know like it's a human. And it isn't that feeling like now, and I remember, starting my Substack and sometimes posting really late at night because I'm like, fuck, I got to get this out. And then I wake up the next day, I'm like, fuck, so many errors in this. And, like, of course, I don't want it to be ever thought of as lazy or sloppy, but also just sometimes being human happens, man, Okay, wait, this is getting long, Pisces style. So I got to get into the paywall of it all. So let's keep going with this chart because I'm going to talk about more of the Pisces placements. And I think the Mars, Pisces, Mars of it all, Mercury retrograde there with the North Node, there's a lot to be said about where the motivation is coming from. Also, we're in this Venus-Jupiter square, which is interesting. And we'll get into the Sabian symbol. But for now, I'm going to leave y'all in the free section B. I hope you have a really lovely new moon. Third spacers, I will see you for the rest of this episode where we break down the remainder of this new moon chart. And I'll see you on the other side. Peace.